Is it possible for someone to dance until they die? In this true and easy English story, the answer is yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another easy English podcast. My name is Adam. Today, we will be learning English through comprehensible input as we hear the story of the dancing plague of the Middle Ages. Now, the Middle Ages are often called the Dark Ages for a reason. This is a period of history where a lot remains a mystery to us. And what we do know about the Dark Ages is that life for most people during this time was very, very difficult, and death was very common. It is during the Dark Ages that we hear about one of the strangest and most disturbing events in all of history: the dancing plague of 1518. Our story begins in a very big and powerful empire that existed at the time called the Holy Roman Empire. And our story specifically takes place in the city of Strasbourg, which today is in modern day France. Now, it all started as just an ordinary, normal day in the month of July. People went about their day-to-day activities. They went to work to do their jobs. Some of them stayed at home to take care of their children. Some went to the market to buy food and whatever other goods they needed. But one woman's day looked very, very different. Instead of waking up, getting ready, and doing whatever she needed to do that day, this woman stepped out her door and, for no clear or apparent reason, started dancing. Shortly after, her daughter also came outside and started dancing with her mother in front of their house. There was no clear reason why this woman started dancing. There was no music playing in the area that this woman might want to dance to. Instead, it was very, very quiet. She also had not heard any incredible news that might make her so happy that she would just want to dance. No, this was a totally ordinary day when this woman decided to start dancing. Now, the people who lived around this woman's home immediately started to notice. People started to watch from a distance and talk about what this woman was doing. People were very confused, and some people started to laugh about it because they thought it was very funny. But the strangest thing started to happen. People started to join her. Starting with the woman's husband, people in the area started dancing alongside this woman. This is when people started to become very concerned and a little bit scared. Now, this lasted for a very long time. For days on end, these dancers continued dancing and their numbers slowly grew. These dancers continued dancing throughout the entire day, and they would only stop to sleep at night before getting up and dancing some more. Within a few days, there were about 30 people dancing alongside the original woman. Witnesses watching the scene started to become very scared and very disturbed by what they saw. The dancers did not look like people dancing at a party, having fun, enjoying themselves. Instead, the dancers looked lifeless. Witnesses said that the dancers' eyes looked very dark and looked very lifeless. People also said that the dancers' movements were very spasmodic. Their arms would swing very, very violently and without control. The dancers also looked very tired from all of the dancing, and they were covered in sweat. Some people even claimed that they could hear some of the dancers crying out for help as they were dancing, as if they could not stop themselves from dancing, and as if they had no control over their own bodies. Now, the historical accounts about this event differ a lot in regards to how many people were involved in the dancing play. But historians say that the dancers could have numbered between 50 and 400. The dancing plague became such a big problem in the city that the city's authorities had to try to figure out a solution to get people to stop dancing. So the city's authorities decided to bring together a big group of very famous, well-known, and skilled doctors. They asked these doctors to try to figure out a solution to this problem. The doctors thought about this. They decided that the dancers needed to dance it off. Basically, that they needed to keep dancing until they had tired themselves of it, and eventually they would stop. So they told the city authorities to encourage the dancers to keep dancing until they had got it out of their system. With this advice in mind, city authorities started to hire musicians to come to the place where the dancers were dancing and play music for them, to encourage them to keep dancing until they didn't want to dance anymore. Now, this idea really backfired. Authorities realized that they had made a mistake when people actually started dying from all of the dancing. People were dancing for so long that they would either pass out or die from exhaustion, hunger, or thirst. Some historians even claimed that about 15 people were dying every single day from dancing. After city authorities had realized that they had made a mistake, they decided to make dancing and playing music in the streets illegal. It was at this point that people started to come up with religious explanations for the dancing. Some people started to believe that all of the dancers must have been possessed by demons. Another very popular theory started to spread. Many people believed that a very popular saint named Saint Vitus was responsible for the dancing. Saint Vitus was believed to punish people by forcing them to dance uncontrollably. So some people started to question whether the dancers were guilty of sin that was being punished by Saint Vitus. At this point, the dancers were led to a shrine for Saint Vitus, where they were expected to ask for forgiveness so that the curse would be lifted. The dancers were also given small wooden crosses to hold in their hand as they went to the shrine. After this point, the dancing slowly came to an end. Less and less people were seen dancing in the streets, and eventually the problem completely disappeared. We today are left to ask the question, why? Why did people go out into the streets and dance until they died? The answer to this question is that we really don't know. But there are multiple theories that people have suggested for why this happened. The first and most popular theory is that the dancing plague was caused by excessive stress. Remember, the Middle Ages were a very difficult time. Most people were very poor, disease was very common, and people tended to live very short lives. The difficulties of the Middle Ages could have caused so many people to become so stressed that they had a mental break, that they became a little bit crazy from all of the stress that they were feeling. Other people believe that there may have been some kind of toxic chemical in people's bread at the time. So as people in the city were eating bread, they began to poison themselves with this toxic chemical. This specific chemical is known to affect people's brain and how they think. When people consume this chemical, they sometimes hallucinate and think they're seeing things that they're not actually seeing. There are many other theories that people pose to explain this strange historical event, and still there are people today who believe that there may have been some religious explanation for this event. What do you think is the most likely reason for this strange event? Comment down below. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this easy English podcast. If you want to level up your English abilities and work towards fluency with comprehensible input, listening practice, then subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.